Hi, I'm Patrick Kelley. I'm Patrick Kelley. I am a distinguished architect at Zoom. I am not a spokesman or a figurehead for Zoom. I just like to talk about a lot of cool technology. And a lot of times that has to deal with Zoom. And today is like any ordinary day for me. We're going to talk about Zoom. And I've worked for Zoom for 2.5 years as a distinguished architect, by the way, the coolest title at Zoom. But before that, I worked for 12 years at a small software company you might have heard of called Microsoft. And why that's important today is that's what we're talking about today, is the Microsoft and Zoom coexistence strategy. Let's be completely honest. 99.86% of the world is a Microsoft customer. I have no idea if that stat's right. I just completely made up that number. It just doesn't seem very common that I walk into an all Google and Linux shop. I'm sure it happens. It just doesn't happen to me. I spend a lot of time with our enterprises, mid-market SMB customers, education, government, and most everyone is a Microsoft customer. And fantastic choice, by the way. They're an amazing company, and I would certainly applaud anybody that chooses those as an ecosystem. There's three ecosystems in my view. There's Microsoft, of course, probably the largest ecosystem from an enterprise perspective, a business perspective. There's also Google. Google's also a big ecosystem, as well as Apple. Apple's a big ecosystem. The great thing about Zoom is we're an extensible platform. We can literally fit into every single one of those ecosystems. And when I say UCaaS platform, we're talking about two things: unified collaboration as a service, unified communication as a service. And you're like, oh, aren't those the same thing? They are not the same thing, you might say. They are completely different things, but they are part of the UCaaS platform. Collaboration, meaning unified collaboration as a service, the ability to collaborate on things, instant message, chat, persistent chat, co-authoring on documents, sharing documents. That's collaboration. It can happen real time or it can happen asynchronously. Communication's the other side, right? That's audio, video, phone, rooms, meetings, call center. That is real-time communication. That is certainly a part of the UCaaS platform. You combine collaboration and communication. Boom, you get a platform. You get a UCaaS platform. This is where Zoom fits in. Microsoft is an ecosystem. Do they have UCaaS? Yes, they have UCaaS. We all know that Microsoft Teams is out there. But Zoom is a platform. Teams is a great product, but Zoom does everything in that UCaaS space. And we're going to actually talk about that today. That's kind of the whole point of today's discussion, is that how does Zoom extend into the Microsoft ecosystem? Because when you buy your E3 or E5 license, maybe even your E1, if you're in education, you're going A3, A5, government, right? G3, G5. It doesn't matter. You're buying that ecosystem. Where Zoom fits in is that UCaaS platform. This is really where we coexist in the Microsoft ecosystem. And we're going to show you a whole bunch of ways that happens, because when you buy E3 or E5, that's a big IT spend. That's probably one of your biggest, right? Is that all those licenses that you're giving to every single knowledge worker, information worker, you want to take advantage of everything you can in that Microsoft ecosystem. Zoom allows you to do that, by the way. And we're going to go through a bunch of demos on exactly how that happens. But certainly I really wanted to set the tone for the discussion today that Microsoft, Google, Apple, all ecosystems, platforms like Zoom can fit into those ecosystems. And what we're going to show you is a bunch of applications that are fit into platforms, that fit into ecosystems, that are part of that Microsoft strategy. Zoom has an extensible platform. We are open APIs, open SDKs. You could extend into Zoom like a bunch of our partners do, or we can extend Zoom into your platform like Zoom does. And we're going to walk through a bunch of demos that show you how that's done. Okay, so let's just dive right in. When we're talking about that Microsoft ecosystem and that Zoom platform fitting in, where do we start? Well, this is really where we start. We're talking about the art of the possible, right? Some of the stuff you might not even use in the Zoom Team Chat client or the Zoom client overall. I'm showing you what's possible with Zoom and Microsoft together. The biggest probably integration point that we have that we've released this year is Zoom Team Chat and SharePoint integration. We know that chat deals with instant messages between users, but also deals with collaborating with channels, right? Showcasing, sending files to coworkers or colleagues, or even external workers and partners and vendors and customers, all working on one file. Because when you are a Microsoft customer, you might want to take advantage of SharePoint as your file repository, right? Your single point of truth. Every file you want it to go to SharePoint. That way you can control it with compliance and permissions, and maybe even policies. What this allows you to do is not have a bunch of files out there. You control them all in one spot. We've enabled Zoom Team Chat to take advantage of your SharePoint file repository. And here, we're going to show you how it's done. More importantly, is what this allows you to do is two things. One, have a single source of truth for all of your files. But two, open up that Microsoft Productivity Suite inside the Zoom Team Chat. Why is that important? Here's what's here. It's really important because we're talking about, there's three different names for it I've heard recently, is that it's called application affinity or context switching or even toggle tax. These are three of the terms that I've seen and heard out there. And what this means is this: Harvard Business Review came out with a study last month, I believe, or 2 months ago, that said that the average knowledge worker and information worker switches apps 1,200 times a day. What this does is creates inefficiency and less productivity. So much so that Harvard Business Review said 9% of an average knowledge worker and information worker's day is spent switching apps. What we're trying to solve here at Zoom is creating less of that friction, creating more stickiness inside of the Zoom client. What this allows is then users to stay in the Zoom client longer, to do their UCaaS job better, because they're not switching between apps all the time. They're staying in that Zoom client. I'm going to show you how we're going to do that by enabling SharePoint integration with Zoom Team Chat. So let's go ahead and showcase how that's done, what that looks like, and how to enable that solution. We're going to this is from an administration perspective. This is from a nerd point of view. The knowledge workers and information workers that are watching this, ignore this demo. This is just for your admins on how to enable SharePoint integration. So we're going to literally launch the Zoom admin portal. Right? We're going to go to our web portal. We're going to launch the Zoom admin portal. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go down to account management, and we're going to go to account settings. And then we're going to go to Zoom Chat on the right side, one of the top tabs. When we enable Zoom Chat, we're going to get a couple of options. On the left side, you're going to see some tabbed options. One of those is storage. Now, what this allows us to do is now indicate where we want to store files. We're enabling cloud storage. By default, it's on the Zoom cloud. But if you're a Microsoft customer, let's take advantage of Microsoft SharePoint. We're going to enable SharePoint integration, hitting that button, and now basically we're going to authenticate into the SharePoint site. And now what this allows is every single new Zoom Team Chat channel that's created from this point on is going to leverage SharePoint as its file repository. So every time a user in a Zoom Team Chat channel uploads a file, it automatically gets pushed to SharePoint. This is super cool, and we're going to show you what this looks like to a user next. Okay, so we've enabled SharePoint integration. And now what this allows us to do is take advantage of SharePoint as our file repository. So now every single time we create a new channel in Zoom Team Chat, we've enabled that for that SharePoint integration. So every single new file that gets created actually goes directly to SharePoint. So let's look at what a demo looks like from a user's perspective. So a user is going to take advantage of this integration. What's it look like to them? So let's go ahead and launch it. So this is Zoom Team Chat. Look what happens when I go to create a new file. I have a bunch of new choices now inside of that because we're leveraging. We could do the old stuff too, right? We can take advantage of uploading old files that are already created, but we're talking about creating a brand new file, a Microsoft file, a Microsoft 365 file. And we can do that right from Zoom Team Chat. Again, creating that application affinity. We're going to create a new PowerPoint file right here. We're going to create a new PowerPoint file. And look what happened. It launches PowerPoint right from Zoom Team Chat. I haven't left the client. So we're going to upload a file. We're just going to create a quick slide here. We're just going to put a new picture in it. I don't care what it is. We're going to do a stock image so I don't get in trouble with copywriting. So let's upload a file. We're going to get a cow. I grew up on a farm, so we're going to just throw a cow up there. And we're going to even use the designer and just create a one little slide. Look what that happened. Look what happens now. I've actually already saved that file to SharePoint. I didn't even have to do anything from a user perspective. That file's already in SharePoint. I'm going to actually send that file to everybody in the channel. Everyone in this channel now has access to this brand new PowerPoint file I created. Watch this. If I go to my files, my SharePoint files, I can already see it's already there. If you don't believe me, let's go to SharePoint. Let's go to SharePoint, directly to the SharePoint site that I created a file in. Look at that. That brand new file automatically already inside of SharePoint. Notice that the user didn't have to do anything, didn't have to hit save, didn't have to publish, didn't have to upload. They just created a PowerPoint slide. That's application affinity at work. That is showcasing how we can now leverage the power of Microsoft productivity suite of products, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, leverage SharePoint as our backend file repository. The user just has to do their job. In IT, our job is to get out of the way. Don't let IT be a hurdle. Don't let technology be a hurdle. Be an enabler. And this is exactly what this is doing. Okay, so we're getting along in our demos now, right? We've enabled SharePoint integration. We've showcased how to create a new file using Microsoft 365 inside of that Zoom client, creating that application affinity. Notice I didn't leave the client to create that file. Now we've shared that file with our channel, right? So our internal colleagues and coworkers are looking at that file. Even maybe external partners, vendors, customers are able to access that file. Now the collaboration starts, right? We've enabled it. We've showcased how to put a file there. Now what happens with that file? How do I work on that file? Well, that's part of the co-authoring suite of products inside of Microsoft 365. We're going to leverage that inside of Zoom Team Chat. Again, not leaving the client. So let's go ahead and look at a demo, what it looks like from the end user perspective. This is all from a knowledge worker end user perspective. What do they see? So I actually uploaded a file already for the sake of this demo. I actually uploaded a file called Zoomtopia. To prove that, I'm going to showcase SharePoint files. It's already uploaded into SharePoint, right? Like I've already sent it to the channel. Just in case you didn't believe me, I can literally go to SharePoint real quick and show you, hey, brand new file about a minute ago. I put a file called Zoomtopia. Great. So everyone on the channel can now see this file. What does this give them? It gives them the ability to co-author on the file. So I've double clicked on it. I'm launching the file. I've already created a couple of words inside this file. We're going to go ahead and, oh, did you see that? Look at that green icon. PK has entered the building, ladies and gentlemen. I'm an admin on this file. PK is now entered and is now editing this file real time along with me. This file that's in SharePoint, I can now, as an administrator, admin this file, or as a user admin this file, co-author on this file. Patrick can come in, Patrick Kelley. We are now co-authoring on this file. Multiple users can now edit on the exact same file. Notice what I didn't do. I didn't leave the Team Chat client. I literally double clicked on it. It launched Word. Now everyone in Zoom Team Chat can now co-author on the exact same file using the power of SharePoint integration inside of the Zoom client. This again increases application affinity, less toggle taxing, more productivity for your end user. Okay, let's go on now, and I think you get the point of how we can take advantage of SharePoint integration and Zoom Team Chat. But let's further that into other layers of the Microsoft ecosystem. Microsoft Productivity is certainly one layer of that platform inside that ecosystem. The next layer is maybe security, right? It's certainly part of that is what we call DLP or data loss prevention, the ability to control who accesses data inside of your environment. When you use DLP inside of Microsoft Purview, one of the parts of the security license you get with E3 and E5 is DLP is part of that solution. The ability to control access to files that contain maybe sensitive information. And when I talk about sensitive information, in this example, we're going to actually showcase how we can stop access to a file that has maybe financial information, all using the power of DLP inside of SharePoint, inside of Microsoft Purview, using the Zoom Team Chat client. So let's take a look at what this looks like from an end user's perspective. Okay, back to the client itself. You've seen this client a few times in this demo. I've actually uploaded a file already called credit card information. I bet you can't guess what's in that file. It's shocking. It's credit card information. This is all fake credit card stuff. Please don't use this. I've opened this file now from Zoom Team Chat. I've opened this file. It has a bunch of credit card information inside of the file. But look what just happened. Did you see that banner just pop up, that yellow banner inside of Microsoft Word? It just said, this item is protected by a policy in your organization. What? Let's take a look. Let's go to SharePoint real quick. I've uploaded that file. Look at that. That credit card information has hit the same policy. Credit card information has hit a policy in your organization that prevents the use or sending of this file. I'm going to show you what I did. Using Microsoft Purview and DLP, I've actually already set up a U.S. financial data for Zoom policy. I've already set this up, and let's take a look at it. Let's just edit the policy. That way you can see what I did. Using the power of this integration, I've actually enabled this policy just for SharePoint because we just enabled SharePoint integration with Microsoft and Zoom. And now what I've done is I've used some advanced DLP rules that are literally templates, and I've pulled those out of Microsoft Purview and applied them right here. This is just basically basic stuff, credit card information, bank information. And I've turned this on. I've turned this policy on right away. I just turned it on because I wanted to showcase it for the purpose of this demo. And once I've submitted this policy, anything that gets put into SharePoint that hits this policy, i.e. this file, is going to nail this policy. It's also going to nail a sensitivity label for Zoom sensitive information. We can talk about that in another demo. I've now enabled data loss prevention policies from SharePoint and Microsoft Purview that apply to all the files that get uploaded into Zoom Team Chat. Again, taking advantage of the power of your E5 license or maybe even your E3 license in that Microsoft world, taking advantage of that within the Zoom coexistence model. All right. Yes, I went and got a cigar, but my wife doesn't let me smoke them in the house. Probably a smart move on her part. I don't have enough time. I need to do some more demos. I don't have enough time to showcase all the power of Microsoft Purview and your security license in charge of your Microsoft world with Zoom. But know that you can extend that into other components beyond DLP, right? You can literally get into information barriers. You can literally get into e-discovery and data lifecycle and all those things inside of Microsoft Purview, and you can apply those inside of Zoom Team Chat and your Zoom client. Again, leveraging the investment you already have in the Microsoft world into the Zoom coexistence model. It's a super powerful message because we know that as users and enterprises and IT organizations certainly put a lot of money and investment in the Microsoft ecosystem, we want to take advantage of it, extend that Zoom platform inside of that model. So let's go on with some more demos beyond storage and literally beyond security. But hopefully you got a good appetite for what's the possible inside the Zoom client. Okay, so we've literally reviewed a bunch of this, the possible when it came to Zoom Team Chat and SharePoint integration. What I want to do is further showcase how you, as an enterprise or SMB or mid-market or education or literally consumer, extend that usage not only from files, but to chat, right? Zoom Team Chat, the main component is to chat and collaborate, not only just files like I've showed you before, but just simple chat, like the ability to send chats across to direct message or across to coworkers inside of a channel. I think in the past, there's really been one choice when it came to chatting, right? There's the choice of whatever client you're in is who you get to chat with, right? So if you're in the WebEx client, you get to chat with WebEx users. If you're in Slack, you get to chat with Slack users. Zoom, you get to chat with Zoom Team Chat users. But that's not the world. I mean, that was the world before, but that's not the world we want to go to, right? Is that email is a agnostic platform. I can literally email from Microsoft to WebEx to Google to AOL. Is that even around? To Yahoo. Is that even around? The point is email is an agnostic platform. We can send emails to anybody. Chat, up to this point, by the way, is not an agnostic platform. I had to be siloed. Think about if you could SMS, like if I could only Verizon people could only SMS Verizon people and Sprint people could only text Sprint people. It would be unusable, right? Because you wouldn't be an agnostic platform. Chat is that way, or it was until Mio came along, right? Mio has now leveraged the ability to choose whatever, again, providing choice to your users, choose whatever chat platform you want, but then be able to communicate across platforms. That's the power of Mio. It now is sort of a clearinghouse between any chat application. And I say any, there's 4 big ones, right? There's WebEx, there's Slack, there's Zoom, and there's Teams. If you gave the ability for users to pick whatever one of those 4 chat platforms they chose because of their workflow, right? If you're an engineer or a developer, you might choose Slack. If you are in the enterprise space and you collaborate with Microsoft Teams users, you might choose Teams. If you are in that Zoom space, you could, of course, choose Zoom Team Chat. But I still need the ability to extend my reach across platforms. Mio allows us to do that. And that's what the powerful message is. You're giving your users choice in that ability. You don't care as an IT organization what platform they choose, as long as they're being productive, as long as they're being efficient. That's our job. That's our job in IT. Take away the technical barriers, enable users to be more productive with whatever workflow they chose. So let's take a look at the demo of Mio. Let's see what a user might see if they were to leverage Mio as their chat integration platform inside of Zoom Team Chat. And I'm going to pull up an example. I'm going to pull up a Microsoft Teams client, I believe on the left. We'll see if it's on the left here. I'm going to pull up a Zoom Team Chat on the right. Why this is powerful is watch this. I'm logged in with a demo user called Peter K on the left side. Just a Peter K on my Mio demo. And on the right side, I'm logged in as, I believe, admin. I'm just logged in as boring admin. Watch this from the Microsoft Teams client. I'm going to send a chat across to the Zoom Team Chat client. I'm going to do the same thing on the Zoom Team Chat. I'm going to send from Zoom to Teams. I'm going to send that chat across, direct message to Peter. Watch what happened. Did you just see that? The chats just flew back and forth because of Mio inside as the integration of chat. I now can do direct messages across platform. Powerful. What about channels? Right? What about channels? I've created a channel and I've synchronized the channels with Mio. Zoom and Teams is the channel between both platforms. Same demo. I'm really going to show you from Zoom to Teams channel. I'm going to send it from Zoom. I'm going to do the same thing from Teams. I'm going to send a chat from Teams. Look at that, already came in. From Teams to Zoom. Across platforms, across channels. This is powerful. This now allows, again, application affinity to take place. I'm not switching clients to chat. I'm staying in the exact same client no matter what. So now I can literally send direct messages between users and direct messages between channels. I can literally apply emojis to it. I can apply reactions to it. Now users can choose whatever platform works best for their workflow and take advantage. So let's go ahead and we'll just send a smiley face. Teams smiley face looks a little different than the Zoom smiley face, but I think you get the point. It's a smiley face, right? That emoji has come across. Agnostic of the application, agnostic of the platform, agnostic of the ecosystem. Mio allows this to take place today. All right, you still with me? There's lots of stuff here. Again, I'm going to chapterize it. Is that a word? Chapterize? Well, it is today. I want to show you how you can literally go right to the section inside below in chapters, so you can literally get to the pertinent information as quick as possible. Let's move on. I've showcased how to send files, how to file repository with SharePoint, how to co-author on files, how to send chats between platforms. Let's look at the next demo. And the next demo is file sync with Teams, right? So I've showed you how to synchronize chats. I've showed you how to utilize the power of SharePoint for files, but how do we synchronize those between Zoom Team Chat and Microsoft Teams? Well, Microsoft Teams, by the way, uses SharePoint as their backend as well. So all files inside of Microsoft Teams go to SharePoint. I just showed you how to use Zoom Team Chat files, go into SharePoint. Now, how can we mesh those together? So now we can chat back and forth with Mio, chat back and forth with DMs, chat back and forth with channels, send files back and forth inside of either platform. But now how do we synchronize those? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at how we can do that. These are all from a user perspective. This is what a knowledge worker and information worker is going to see. So we've showed you the SharePoint integration channel in all the previous demos. That's the channel I created in Zoom Team Chat. This site is actually already enabled for Microsoft Teams. What does that mean? That means that SharePoint integration channel I created in Zoom is now a channel inside of Microsoft Teams. And how did I do that? You can see that I did it already. How did I do it? Let's get a little bit nerdy right here. Let's go to a channel that I've already created that's not SharePoint integrated. Harley Davidson Fun. I'm a Harley Davidson fanatic, if you haven't figured out from my background. This channel in the Zoom world is not enabled for Microsoft Teams. So let's enable it. So on the bottom here, you're going to see, once I open up that SharePoint site, you're going to see add real-time chat. This is what we're talking about. We're adding Microsoft Teams to this SharePoint channel inside of Zoom. So I'm just going to hit continue. This is really easy. I'm just going to hit continue a couple of times. And I'm adding Teams to this Zoom SharePoint integrated channel. You can see it's creating a team right now. It's creating all the file repositories and resources. Boom, I'm done. Like that's as easy as it gets, right? So now if we go back to the SharePoint site, we can see that Harley Davidson Fun Zoom channel is now enabled for Teams. You can see a little Teams icon right there, right? So what does that mean? Watch. Inside of Microsoft Teams, I now have a channel called SharePoint Integration Channel. Notice the same channel in Zoom? It's the exact same channel. So now we can leverage Mio integration for chats. We can now leverage SharePoint integration for files. So all the files we've been doing in this demo, I've already uploaded to SharePoint. I've showed you this the whole time. Look at that. The general channel and the general file now are synchronized. They're really not synchronized because we're really using the same backend for both channels. Look at this. All the files that I created in this earlier in this demo that create a new PowerPoint file, it's in Microsoft Teams now. We've now integrated the two platforms to share chats back and forth as well as files back and forth. That Zoomtopia file we created earlier in the demo, look on the right side. Look on the right side in Microsoft Teams. That same Zoomtopia file is inside of Teams. As a user, I didn't have to do anything but create the file. That's the power of leveraging SharePoint as a file repository, leveraging your Microsoft licensing in the Zoom platform. Super cool. Okay, just a little segue here, taking a little break before I get into the next topic. For all you nerds out there that are wondering how I'm doing all this, it's OBS and Prezi, as well as PowerPoint and demos. So that's really what I'm doing. I'm using Stream Deck to change scenes between all these different things. Sorry, I'm just a little tangent on that one. Let's just dive right into it. I've showcased how to enable SharePoint integration with Zoom Team Chat. I've showcased how to share files in Zoom Team Chat. I've showcased how to co-author on files inside of Zoom, how to chat across platforms inside of Zoom and or Teams. I've showed you how to synchronize files between both platforms. This is a deep integration between Zoom and Microsoft Teams, but we want to extend that even further, right? Certainly I showed you, or maybe talked about it, I didn't really show it. I talked about the extensibility platform of our Open API, Open SDK stance inside of Zoom, letting partners be able to write any application inside of the Zoom client, as well as utilizing video and meeting SDKs to use Zoom inside of your application, should you want to develop it that way. But we also do the third thing is we write apps inside of other apps, right? So Microsoft Teams is an app, and we have the ability, Microsoft has the ability to let us, with SDKs and APIs as well, to utilize the power of their platform to write apps inside of Microsoft Teams. And we did exactly that. Zoom developed an app that sits inside of Microsoft Teams. As a user, you have choice, right? And if you were to choose to use Zoom as your team chat, I showed you all the cool ways that works. But also users might have to use Microsoft Teams as well for collaboration inside of their environment. But they want to leverage the power of Zoom inside of Microsoft Teams. We can do that today. We literally wrote an app that sits inside of Microsoft Teams. So let's go ahead and look at a demo from a user perspective of what it looks like if you were to be a user inside of Microsoft Teams and leverage the power of Zoom. So right here, you can see it's a Microsoft Teams client. On the bottom is what they call message extensions. Literally inside of message extensions, I can do everything in the Zoom client inside of Microsoft Teams. I can start an instant meeting. I can schedule a meeting. I could literally make a phone call. I can share a Zoom whiteboard inside of Microsoft Teams. And I'm doing that because I've installed the Zoom app from the Microsoft Teams Marketplace. So once I've installed the Zoom app, it opens up a whole bunch of possibilities where I have a meetings tab. I can literally have my calendar integrated inside of Microsoft Teams. This is my Zoom calendar inside of Teams. I can start an ad hoc meeting, a Zoom ad hoc meeting inside of Microsoft Teams. I can just start typing names. These are Active Directory integrated users. These are users inside of Active Directory, inside of Microsoft ecosystem. I can invite them to a meeting right away and start a meeting. I can now schedule a meeting. Again, I can type in names from Active Directory inside of the Zoom app, invite these users to a meeting. I can literally type in names of Zoom rooms inside of this, or Microsoft Teams rooms inside of a resource, inside of a scheduled meeting. Notice what I haven't done. I haven't left the Teams client because I put this app inside here. I can leverage Zoom Phone inside of Microsoft Teams. You can see my entire call history inside of Zoom Phone right here in Microsoft Teams. I haven't left Microsoft Teams. I can dial a phone number like anybody else. I can type in an extension, or I can type in a name, right? I don't have to know anybody's phone number. I can just type in a name. I just want to type in the name of a Zoomineer and call the person right from Teams using the power of Zoom Phone. I can see missed calls inside of Zoom Phone. I can literally see recorded calls inside of Microsoft Teams. Utilizing the power of Zoom phone recording, I can play this message right inside of Microsoft Teams from Zoom Phone. Voicemail, same thing. Using the power of voicemail inside of Zoom Phone, I can play that message inside of Microsoft Teams. I can also go to Outlook. I can go to Outlook right here and see that, play that exact same message inside of Outlook. I can leverage Zoom Phone SMS. I can chat, literally SMS chat using the power of Zoom Phone inside of Microsoft Teams. Trying to really simplify this process for the end user so they don't, again, have to leave clients if they don't want to, creating less toggle tax for the end user. Okay, like they don't stop, right? The coexistence and integration doesn't stop. It keeps going. There's a million things. That's a lie. I have no idea how many there are. Not a million, probably. Is let's extend Zoom Phone, the topic, into other areas. It's certainly one of the biggest areas that we've been doing is what they call AAD, or Azure Active Directory Contact Search. I'm not going to brag too much here, but I'm a little bit. I actually announced this at Zoomtopia. So for those of you who didn't see my live Zoomtopia session, I showcased this at Zoomtopia of how Azure Active Directory Contact Search works. It's in preview today, or it's in preview as the time of this recording. Depending on when you're watching this, it depends on if it's GA or not. So Azure Active Directory allows a couple of things. It allows us to integrate Zoom with Azure Active Directory. And why this is powerful is today, if you're in Zoom Phone and you want to search for another Zoom Phone user, great. Type in their name. You'll be able to pull up that user and call them or even text them. Type in their email address. You'll be able to call them and text them. But we need to extend that further, right? Large enterprises have more than just one phone system. They might have plenty. They might have Zoom Phone. They might have Microsoft Teams Phone. They might have, Cisco or Avaya. But the point is, they're using one source of truth with Azure Active Directory. All their users, all their contacts, all their resource accounts are in Azure Active Directory. And so what we're doing is we're allowing the user from the Zoom Phone perspective to search Active Directory for any user with any phone number, agnostic of if they're Zoom Phone users or not. We don't care. We just want to see a user from Zoom Phone, and we want to call that user. If they use Zoom Phone, great, fantastic, the best phone system available. But if they use Avaya or Cisco or Microsoft, we can still make that call. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like from a user perspective. A little bit nerdy here. I'm going to show you a couple of things. I'm going to show you how to enable this from an admin perspective. I'm back into the Zoom portal. I'm going to go to the users management container, and then I'm going to go to advanced. And all the way down, I'm going to see, I actually have already toggled this on. I've already enabled my Zoom account with my Microsoft Active Directory tenant. And now look, we're going to go into Microsoft. We're going to see an example. We're going to see Adele Vance. She's just a test user I have. She is not a Zoom user. She is just a regular Cisco user. I don't care. I just see a phone number. That's all I care about. Let's go to Zoom Phone. You can see I created a little voicemail there. Let's go to Zoom Phone. Let's search for Adele. Adele pops up because we're using Azure Active Directory to search that user. We can search in contacts. We can search from overall from a perspective of let's just look for users. Again, I type in Adele and I find Adele. Adele is not a Zoom user. That's the most important thing. She's a Cisco user. It doesn't matter. I can call or text her. Just to prove it, I'm going to go to my Zoom account, pull up my users. You can see Adele is not part of of my account. She is just an Active Directory user with a Cisco phone number. That's the power of Azure Active Directory. I don't care from a Zoom Phone perspective where you reside. I can search you, I can text you, and I can call you. Okay. Whew. I'm running on fumes here. There's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to stop or where to begin. Well, actually, I do know where to begin. I actually already did that. You hanging in there with me? Okay, here we go. Zoom is the paramount leader in UCaaS platform, right? Microsoft Teams is part of that Microsoft ecosystem. One of the things our customers ask for a lot over the last few years as we've gone through this coexistence model is, hey, when I'm in Microsoft Teams, I can't see real-time presence with Zoom. And when I'm in Zoom, I can't see real-time presence inside of Microsoft Teams. What is real-time presence? There's two kinds of presence. There's free busy presence there, and Zoom has been doing this for a while with Outlook, is that when you schedule a meeting from 8 to 9, everyone in the world can look at your calendar and see that you're in a meeting from 8 to 9. I can look on Zoom and see you're in a meeting. I can look in Outlook, see you're in a meeting. I can look in Teams and see you're in a meeting from 8 to 9. The reason you can do that is because we're using Microsoft as well as Zoom can use Exchange as your free busy repository. What that doesn't allow you to do, though, is real-time presence. Scheduled meetings are easy. Not easy, but pretty straightforward. You send a meeting, you accept the meeting, boom, it's booked in your calendar, 8 to 9. But what about ad hoc presence or real-time presence? Real-time presence or ad hoc presence, I just made that term up. I'm not sure if that's a real term. We're going to go with that. It's real-time presence or ad hoc presence is when I pick up my Zoom phone, my physical phone, or my soft phone, I go on a call. That is ad hoc. That is not in your calendar, right? This is, you've literally chosen as a user to pick up your phone, make a phone call, or receive a phone call. At this time, you are on a call. That is not in your calendar. That is ad hoc real-time presence. What we're going to do, and again, I'm going to brag a little bit here. I announced this at Zoomtopia, is that we are now going to, we meaning Zoom, inclusive pronoun, Zoom is going to now push presence into Microsoft Teams. You want to pick up the mic? Because I just dropped it, right? I just dropped the mic. We're going to push presence into Microsoft Teams. So when you pick up your Zoom phone, or you make a phone call, or you pick up your Zoom phone call to answer a phone call, is now that presence goes to in a call. We are now going to push that into Microsoft Teams. I unfortunately do not have a demo today, a live demo. Because we're just working on it. But today, here's the current mapping of Zoom and Outlook. We can already do presence with Outlook, as I indicated earlier, where it goes both ways, right? We can literally push and pull presence from Outlook, push presence to Zoom, and now we can leverage Outlook as our integrator from the current mapping of Zoom. What we're going to do starting tomorrow, tomorrow is in quotes, we're going to now have the ability using APIs from Microsoft to push Zoom presence into Microsoft Teams. Right? I know. It's pretty crazy. This is phase 1. As you can imagine, there's going to be other phases, or we wouldn't have named it phase 1. Typically, when you name a phase, that means there's other phases. I'll let you guess what the other phases are. They are not available today. We announced this at Zoomtopia, which is limited beta, and then we're going to look to push the GA later on. Super cool. Now users from either Teams or Zoom Team Chat or Zoom meetings or Zoom phone can now see real-time presence back and forth. Super cool. Okay, coming at you, still live, still talking. You're probably wondering, does this guy ever stop talking? And the answer is yes, I do. And then the next question is, how many demos do you have of Zoom and Microsoft integration? And the answer is a lot. Right? That's the whole point. Is we are extending Zoom into that Zoom ecosystem, that Microsoft ecosystem. And this is another example: is CRM is customer relations management is a part of every customer's ecosystem, every customer's platform, every customer's apps. So how do we leverage that power and extend Zoom into those CRMs, those big ones like the HubSpots of the world, or you're probably laughing, that's not a big one. Salesforce, maybe? You ever heard of that? Probably 43% of the market is Salesforce. CRM of Dynamics 365, I think, is 8%. Last time I checked. You can tell me below in the chat how wrong I am. But the point is, this is a Microsoft coexistence discussion, and this is a Zoom integration discussion. How does Zoom leverage the power of Dynamics 365 inside of that ecosystem, that CRM platform? Well, let's look. Let's take a look. Is that Dynamics 365 is a CRM application, right? If you are familiar with CRM applications, you know that primarily people that are in sales use CRM applications for records management, right? You call somebody, you have to log that call. You get a call from somebody, you log that call. Voicemail, you log that call. Bad call, you log the call. Good call, log the call. SMS, you get the point. We log everything inside of our CRM database so that we can have some sort of management and analytics on that performance and all that workflow. Dynamics 365, part of that Microsoft ecosystem, but Zoom can plug right in. So let's take a look at what an end user might look like. Well, maybe not what an end user looks like. What an end user is going to see when they're inside Dynamics 365. So if you're familiar, right, Dynamics 365 is a web application, and now we can leverage that ability to integrate Zoom into this. So right inside here, you can see I have Zoom inside of my Dynamics CRM application. I can literally look at all the stuff that I do as a salesperson. I can look at all the outbound calls, all the activity. I can literally look at my entire call stack. I can look at my dial pad. I have SMS in here. I literally have my call logs and my activities and settings right here from a user perspective. So there's two main parts to me of the Dynamics is accounts and contacts. So in this example, I just have Contoso as one of my main accounts that I'm calling on to sell widgets to, right? Green widgets. I need to sell a bunch of green widgets to Contoso. Right away, you can see inside of the Contoso account page, I have phone numbers and I have information. I have all the call logs that I've ever called Contoso from my salesperson's perspective. Calls in, calls out, what I did with that call, all the records of every single phone call I've ever made. So let's just go ahead and do an example. I'm going to call Contoso right now. You can see I just clicked on it and it launched Zoom Phone. Again, application affinity, staying inside of the Dynamics 365 application. You can see that now there's a call, an outbound call that I've made to Contoso. Now, what is that subject of the call? It can be anything, right? You're the one keeping notes. So it's a test call for Zoomtopia, whatever you want to name it. I called to Contoso the number that I have in my account. I'm going to call for, I don't know, let's just call for a relationship call just to say hi and see what's going on. I can create notes related to that relationship call. I can put disposition of, hey, what happened during that call? Was it a bad number, left a voicemail, whatever it might be. Then I can add notes to the disposition of the call itself. The point is that now I've done all this from my Zoom phone. I've submitted that, and look what happens. All those records from Zoom Phone go directly into Dynamics 365 database. I didn't have to open up another application. I didn't have to open up another web page. I literally did that inside of Dynamics utilizing the power of Zoom Phone. So obviously I can make a phone call, right? That's not rocket science. I can literally make a phone call to numbers. I can literally dial an E164 number. Or what about contacts I have in my CRM database? I have Iron Man as a contact in my CRM database. I can make a phone call to Iron Man right from Zoom Phone. Again, I didn't leave Dynamics. I didn't leave my CRM application. I leveraged the power of contacting a contact inside of Dynamics right from Zoom Phone. And same thing, I can keep update all those records and it goes right into Dynamics 365. Let's extend that into chat. Right? SMS. We can now do real-time texting inside of Dynamics utilizing the power of Zoom Phone SMS. So I can send text back and forth with my customers and my contacts inside of Dynamics 365. And those get updated real time. So I showed you accounts. Let's go to contacts. I showed you Iron Man, but what about Captain America? What if I want to call Nick Fury and say, hey, there's an Avenger movie coming out? I can literally have all these records updated real time with every single contact that's a subcomponent of my Contoso account. All the recordings, literally, I forgot about that. What about recordings? I can literally show you recordings inside of Dynamics 365. I can record calls and voicemails inside of Dynamics 365. I'm going to do, I just showed you one. I just literally did a test recording earlier. I literally called somebody. Who did I call? Patrick Kelley called somebody in this test. I don't even remember who it was. I can then leverage all those recordings. Look at that. That same recording that's inside of Zoom Phone. I can listen to inside of Dynamics 365. So again, we're just really showcasing the power of this integration where we don't have to leave in the application to do our job. We're taking IT out of the mix, and we're just really enabling users to leverage the technology that we have. Super cool demo of Dynamics 365 and Zoom. Okay, we're going to keep going. Keep going here. How about that for product placement? This is Zoom t-shirt, Zoom coffee mug. It is, we're going, we're trudging on again. Look at that. I got a little beard hair there. No, that's really annoying me. That one right there. See it? Now you do. Now you do because I pointed it out to you. Let's go. Let's go on to the next demo. Is the predominant player in the world today of email is probably Microsoft Exchange, and your client of choice is probably Outlook. Let's be honest, it's been around for 4,000 years, and I have no idea how long it's been around. But the point is, it's been around a long time, and the most your enterprise users that utilize an E1, E3, E5 license are probably using Outlook or Outlook Web Access to access their Microsoft Exchange email. And the point is that, again, sticking with this application affinity mantra where we want to stay in the client as long as possible doing our jobs, Outlook and Outlook Web Access now have been able to be integrated with Zoom and Zoom add-ins and Zoom plugins. And what that means is, like probably almost every single enterprise customer, SMB or mid-market, you're using Outlook to schedule meetings. Can you use Teams to schedule meetings? Yes. WebEx? Yes. Zoom? Yes. You can do it in all those. There's 1,000 different ways. I have no idea. 1,000 different ways to create Zoom meetings. But I'm guessing the business workflow that you're in, you probably use Outlook as the predominant player to schedule meetings because it allows you to see your free busy information of the attendees and or resources that you're inviting to the room, get when they're open and when they're free, and schedule meetings right from Outlook. Again, sticking with this application affinity mantra where we're staying in the application as long as possible to create a more productive, efficient workforce, we want to create this in Outlook as well. So Zoom has developed the Outlook plugin and Outlook add-in. And what that allows you to do is create Zoom meetings inside of that application. And if you've been playing with Outlook at all and Zoom at all, you probably have seen this demo. You're probably using it today. But here's what it looks like, right? Is that now, as a user, I can go to zoom.us/download, and I can download the Outlook plugin and the Outlook add-in. One is for Microsoft Outlook, the client. The other is for Microsoft Outlook Web Access, the web browser. They both kind of do the same thing. So let's pretend I downloaded these things and let's just load them up, and I hit start here. So let's go to Outlook. And now once I've installed the Outlook plugin and add-in, I'm going to see a couple of choices in my Outlook ribbon is schedule a meeting and start a meeting. And they do exactly what they say they're going to do. They start ad hoc meetings on the fly. You can start a meeting and invite participants to have an ad hoc Zoom meeting, or you can schedule a meeting for the future or a reoccurring meeting. When you hit schedule a meeting, it fires up the Outlook calendar invite, and then you can do your stuff, right? You can invite your required participants, your optional participants, your resources and rooms to your Zoom meeting. And it creates all of those URLs for everybody to join the Zoom meeting with one click, right? I can go to change settings and I can add extra layers on top of this. I can generate personal IDs and create waiting rooms and passcodes and add layers of security onto this invite. And that's it, right? I just send this invite away. Everyone that's on the invite will get a Zoom meeting to join at, let's say, 7:30 at night, and I can fire it up and everybody can join a Zoom meeting right from Outlook. Again, creating that application affinity. I can also do this, right? If I go to info and options inside of Microsoft Outlook, I can create a way to create meetings with Zoom automatically. So if I go to calendar and I go add online meeting to all meetings, so every meeting I create, I want it to be a Zoom meeting, I can do that right here in this option, allowing Zoom to be created every time you create a new meeting without having to even hit the schedule a meeting button in the plugin. That's an option. Doesn't have to be what you do, but it's certainly, again, Zoom is here to give you options. So let's go to Outlook Web Access, right? The web browser version of Outlook, Outlook Web Access. has the exact same function as the full client in Outlook. I can now create a new Zoom meeting inside of Outlook Web Access without ever having to leave the browser. So to get do a new event, I just click new event, obviously, and now I have a choice, right? I have a Zoom choice now that I've added the plugin. I can create a Zoom meeting, add a Zoom meeting to this Microsoft Outlook invite. Same thing, right? It creates the meeting. I can invite my attendees, check the time, check their free busy information. So something else we can do here is, let's just go ahead and cancel that right here. Check this out. We can actually do the same thing we did in Outlook full client, is that we can enable Outlook Web Access to be the predominant player in the meeting space and create Zoom meetings automatically with every invite. So if you go to calendar, events and invitations, and same thing, add online meetings to all meetings, and then we're going to add a Zoom meeting to every single meeting we create from Outlook Web Access. So that way your users don't actually have to hit the Zoom button. Again, a little bit less clicks to do what you need to do. Here's a cool one. Here's a little bonus one, right? It has nothing to do with Microsoft, but the predominant player in the browser space, probably Chrome, right? Or there is Edge, there is Firefox, but probably Chrome is the choice for most users in the world today. We can actually have a web scheduler, a Zoom scheduler inside of the Chrome browser. Again, allowing you to create meetings right from your browser. So once I've added that Chrome plugin, you're going to see a Zoom icon in your add-in bar. And boom, literally with one click, I can now schedule a meeting and start a meeting right from my Chrome browser without ever having to leave the Chrome browser. Again, right? Application affinity, creating that stickiness of any application. Zoom is really extending that ability to do that in both Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Outlook, and now Chrome, right? That's the predominant way we can, those are several ways we can start Zoom meetings within any application. All right. Okay, on to the next demo. All right. What's this one? I'm losing track. Right. If you were at Zoomtopia, you saw or witnessed Zoom launching something that is extending this ability to stop context switching, right? Again, I keep mentioning these words: toggle tags, application affinity, staying within the Zoom client to do the majority of your UCaaS solution, your UCaaS productivity, your UCaaS modalities, any word you want to use. Stay inside the client the longer. Stay inside the Zoom client longer means more productivity, more efficiency. So this is exactly what Zoom designed when it came to mail and calendar. So, and this is part of the UCaaS space, right? Is we think of UCaaS as collaboration and communication, right? Instant messaging, persistent chat, file repository, sharing files, working on files, audio, video, meetings, phone, all that's UCaaS. But isn't mail and calendar the same thing? It's maybe been around for a lot longer, right? But we still collaborate, especially externally, inside of email, right? I think as chat has gone up in usage, email has gone down in usage, but that doesn't mean it's going away. It's certainly a predominant part of how we collaborate and still share information, both internally and a lot more externally. So now how do we bring that into the Zoom client? Well, that's exactly what Zoom did. Zoom did is that we're bringing mail and calendaring inside of the Zoom client. And this is the great thing about it is Zoom, again, is an agnostic player in this space where we don't care what back-end email you're using. And there's really two, right? There's just Gmail and Outlook. There's actually three, right? Let's look at it this way. Gmail, web-based. There's Exchange. People, shockingly, still have Exchange on-prem, which still happens. And then there's Office 365 or Exchange Online. Those are three predominant players in the email space. From a user perspective, you don't care. You just want to check your email and check your calendaring. Wouldn't it be amazing to do that inside the Zoom client without ever having to leave Zoom, right? That's the whole point, is that could you go to Outlook and do it? Yes. Could you go to Outlook Web Access and do it? Yes. But what did that do? That created a 2 or 3 more clicks to get there, because if you're inside the Zoom client, I just want to view email. I just want to look at my calendar, especially if you're just consuming email. You just want to read an email or read your calendar. That's exactly the point of the mail calendaring and Zoom mail and calendaring service. So let's kind of look at what we can do now inside of Zoom. And still more. There's still more. Well, I went a little bit crazy on that one. Let's go to my demo deck here and see what mail and calendaring look like from a client perspective. Oh, geez. Okay, here we go. So we have to enable it first, right? As a Zoom admin, you actually have to enable the function first. And you do that in your admin portal. Under account settings, under more settings, you're going to see use Zoom client to manage emails and calendar events. Toggle that on for your account. And then users can use the email service and manage their calendars. They're going to now get an option for mail and calendaring. Once you've updated your client to the appropriate level, I don't know what it is. You can look it up. You're going to see two icons, mail and calendaring, inside of your Zoom client. So this is just one of my test tenants that I have. I am now inside of the Zoom client checking email. I can reply to email. I can forward email. And just as important, I can check my calendar, my Exchange calendar, my Gmail calendar. I can check all the meetings I have set up for the day. I can see if there's Zoom meetings. Look at that. There's a Zoom meeting right here. I can literally start that Zoom meeting inside of my calendar. I've hit yes, I'm going. I've hit maybe no or a maybe. I can see other meetings as well. It doesn't have to be a Zoom meeting. I can literally see any meeting that I've been sent an invitation to, and then appropriately start that meeting right from my Zoom calendar. And then there's a little sidebar too. I can literally kick out a sidebar and have this open all the time so I can view my calendar all the time. Again, saving mouse clicks, right? So I literally can be in my Zoom client. I can kick out my calendar to the right like I'm doing here. Leave that up all the time. I can leave that up all the time so I have immediate view of exactly what I'm going to be doing today, all the meetings that are coming up. I can be notified when those meetings are coming up, and then I can join those meetings right from the Zoom client. You know what I'm about to say, right? Again, not leaving the Zoom client, staying inside of the Zoom client, being more productive with less mouse clicks. I think we're done. I think we're done. By the way, this is part 1 of this series on Microsoft and Zoom integration. There's a whole lot more. And that's kind of the point, is that this kind of not never ends, but people don't know the extent that Zoom integrates into the Outlook and Microsoft platform. Really, I've showed you a number of applications that Zoom extends integration into. That coexistence model is an amazing story, because you're a Microsoft customer, or you might have Microsoft licensing, and you want to take advantage of all the stuff that you've paid for in your E3 and E5 license. Zoom allows that to happen, and by extending that UCaaS platform into the Microsoft ecosystem, as we discussed earlier, you can take advantage of all those modalities inside of Microsoft, leveraging Zoom as your UCaaS platform. What this really takes advantage of, and there's a lot more that I haven't even talked about. Like we talked about SharePoint from a team chat perspective, right, with files and integration. But SharePoint also is a file repository for uploading team files and collaboration files into a Zoom meeting. A lot of times we want to upload a file into a Zoom meeting, and it might be a coworker's files, or it might be some file on a SharePoint site that I'm working on a project with. You can do that with SharePoint integration and Microsoft today. You can also do OneDrive, right? We talk about OneDrive a little bit, and OneDrive's a user's file repository. That's where you store your user files, the files you're working on just yourself, that without a teammate or a colleague helping you. These are files that you save, whether it's photos or Word documents or PowerPoint files that you have control over. You can also upload those into Zoom and Zoom meetings as well. Zoom team chat, Zoom meetings, you can upload files right on the fly with those two levels of Microsoft integration. Direct Guest Join is another thing that I've demoed in the past. I have videos on it in the past, and you can search my channel and see this Direct Guest Join. Direct Guest Join is this agnostic layer of Zoom and Microsoft Rooms, right? So should you choose Microsoft Teams Rooms as your choice for your conferencing room solution? Fantastic. Go ahead. Should you choose Zoom Rooms and Zoom Spaces as your conferencing room solution? Fantastic. They are agnostic of each other now. They literally can join each other's meetings. So when I invite a Zoom room to a Microsoft Teams meeting, I'm going to get a one-touch join experience. Vice versa, if I invite a Microsoft Teams room to a Zoom meeting, I'm going to get a one-touch join experience, agnostic of platform. Again, talking about increasing that coexistence model and integration model with Microsoft. There's Defender for Cloud Apps. I'm going to do a bunch of these demos in part 2 of this series, where I can showcase even more of this coexistence and Microsoft story. Wow, that's a lot, right? There's certainly a lot to talk about, and I almost ran out of time. Again, all these different demos are going to be in chapters, so you don't have to watch the whole thing. I'm certainly happy if you did, but if you do, please subscribe to my channel. You're going to see a lot of Zoom and a lot of Microsoft related videos. Predominantly I talk about Zoom, but the story is ever evolving, and certainly would love to hear your comments and love to see what you have to say. I'll talk to you later. Have a good day.